Good morning, everyone. Lupo speaking here. Today, I want to take you through on the compilation of the document because that section alone it's normally located 10% of the overall mark allocation. What is the compilation of the document? It is putting the document together, meaning which the chapters that you have prepared, the appendices or annexures that you have used when developing your study. So that all of that needs to be put together in an academic format. You don't just throw everything haphazardly because there's a mark allocated specifically for that particular work. So what do we do first? You need to develop a cover page. What does a cover page constitute? It constitutes your title, your name, student number, the program, the supervisor, and the year. The format of doing that it varies from university to university. Then the other thing you need to do, it is the acknowledgement, the declaration, the abstract, then the table of contents. Remember that section, how it's numbered using Roman figures. Where do you start numbering? You start numbering from your first page after the cover page. Meaning which, if your institution says the first page should be the declaration, therefore you start numbering there using Roman figures. So the cover page will have to be your first section. You break sections when compiling a document. Your cover page will be your first section one. I will take you through on how you break sections on this particular video. I will have a clip above just to take you through how you go about breaking sections. After you have broken your section, you start numbering your document from the declaration using Roman figures, going to your acknowledgement, your abstract, table of contents, list of figures, and list of tables, then the list of acronyms. That is your section 2. From your chapter 1, that should be your section 3. How do you number that one using ordinary numbers like your 1, 2, 3? And then you number from the middle bottom of the page. But also, it also depends on what your supervisor recommends and what your university recommends. Remember, when you are compiling your document, you must also prepare an abstract. What is important on an abstract that needs to reflect on an abstract? We need to see an introductory statement on your abstract. We need to see the methodology that was applied or used in the study. In the methodology section, we also need to see the sample and the sample size. Then we go further and discuss what are the primary findings of the study. The last section of your abstract needs to give a view or the reviewer or the reader, be it your examiner or your supervisor, it must give them what does your study recommend. So an abstract, it is an executive summary, in other words, that you do once you have completed your study. It must excite, it must drive attention. That is the section, or it is a written passage that helps the reader to decide if whether your research is worth reading or not. So the reader captures most of your study in the abstract or in your writing of an abstract. After you have done that, you move to develop a table of contents. A table of contents is very, very important in two phases of the research. The one for internal review submission and the other one for printing and binding. The first one will contain what we call hyperlinks because it helps the examiner to click and go exactly where they want to go in your document. If, for example, the examiner wants to go and check your chapter 4, she or he must not scroll to your chapter 4. You've written about 120 pages. It's too much work to scroll there. They need just to click on chapter 4. Then hyperlinks will take them directly to chapter 4. So your table of contents must be prepared in that way. Secondly, when you are to go for a printing and binding of your document, your table of content must be convertible to PDF. So what does that mean? Your table of content must be prepared using Microsoft Word, not manually. Because if you do it manually or you do it wrong, it will say bookmark error. Now remember, you've already sent the document for printing and binding. No one has got time to fix that for you. So your document will come back as a mess. So it also, even if you convert it yourself, if you did not do it right, it won't read your table of contents properly. You will find out that the information content of the document is messed around. So it's very important. The other issue that you need to consider is that, remember, when you were doing your research, you had tables, figures, and so forth in your research. So those should not form part of the actual table of contents. Why? It's because they are located a specific section. Am I making sense? So they are located, sorry about that. They are located a specific section. Every list of every figure and table must be removed from the actual table of contents. Once the table of contents is done, using Microsoft, how do you go about, just let me give you an example of how you go about doing a table of content, for example. You highlight all the headings that you want them to appear on the table of contents. Once you have highlighted that, you go straight to your home page. You choose on the top right of your Microsoft toolbar, you choose the font style or type. Once that's done, you go and click on references. On the references page on the top bar of your Microsoft, you move to the far left. On your far left, you find the list of tables. Once you click on one of those tables, it will automatically create a table of contents for you. So once you have done that, then you go and prepare a list of figures, meaning with the contents of your figures. Where are they located? Also, for your first submission, that must have hyperlinks. You can delink them if you don't need them, or sometimes they create confusion if you're not familiar of how they function. You prepare that. Immediately, once you prepare that, you go and prepare the list of table. Those tables must have their separate pages. If you're going to do a list of figures, it must be done on a new page. A list of tables, it must be done on a new page. Then you move into the list of acronyms or abbreviations, depending on which methodology which term your university or institution use. Your list of acronyms consists of all the abbreviations that have been used in your study. Remember, before you abbreviate in the study, you must first tell us what this abbreviation stands for. Then you continue to abbreviate. So we need to see that in the list of acronyms or abbreviation. How do you do that? You write the abbreviation and then you write the full word. Once that has been done, you arrange those alphabetically. You don't just put them haphazardly. You arrange them alphabetically. Remember, consistency in research is key. Things like your font type, font size, they must be consistent throughout the document. Exception is only given on a table or on a figure. Remember, if, for example, you are using Times New Roman size 12 when you are writing your research, or it's a requirement from your university, do not forget. For example, if you're using that size 12 Times New Roman throughout the document, it might be bigger in a table. So you decide to use a smaller sample so that your table can look more appealing and it can fit in a page. That can be acceptable. But when you are writing the content on your research, be consistent with your font and what do you call sample size. Then you move to your figures or annexures. How do you put those or write those in your research? You tell the reader annexure A or annexure 1 or appendix A or appendix B or appendix 1. Then you give the title of that appendix. Then you attach it. If it's an attachment, you write it if it needs to be written. Thereafter, you cannot put two annexures or appendices in one page. It is prohibited in research. Each and every annex, regardless if it takes half of a page, each and every appendix or annexure also must start on a new page. Those are part of your section 3. Remember, we said you need to have at least 3 sections in research. That will be your cover page, that will be your acknowledgement, declarations, abstract, a list of tables, list of acronyms, and so forth. That will be your section 2. Your section 3 consists of chapter 1 to the last annexure or appendix that you have in your document. Let me stop there for today. I will then take you through using Microsoft Word as an example for you to see exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you very much.